Alright, on today's notes, you're going to be trying to find a missing leg for a right triangle. Okay, so in yesterday's notes, we were talking about finding the missing side length, the hypotenuse, side C. And today we're going to be finding a missing leg. It says you can use the Pythagorean theorem to find the side of a triangle. To find the length of a leg when you know the length of the hypotenuse and the other leg. Okay? The formula we use is still going to be the same, so it's still going to be a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is kind of just reiterating yesterday's information, where a and b are the legs, and C is the hypotenuse. Just a quick reminder, A and B are the legs, and they form the 90-degree angle. The side C is always your longest side length, and it's called the hypotenuse. So let's look at a few examples. So right here, these two sides, 12 meters, and whatever this other side length is, form the 90-degree angle. It does not matter which one we make A and which one we make B. I'm going to make this one A and this one B. That leaves the 13 meters to be our hypotenuse, our C. Guys, remember C is also our longest side length. So if our C is 13 meters, that means whatever this answer is going to have to be less than 13. If we got an answer that's bigger than 13, then we know we did something wrong. So let's plug into our equation. A squared, we've labeled B as 12, so 12 squared equals C, which is 13 squared. The first step is going to be the same thing as it was yesterday. So we're going to take 12 squared, 12 times 12, or you can use the squared button. Excuse me. So we get A squared plus 144. 13 squared, we get 169. So we're still trying to get the A by itself. Guys, this is a regular two-step equation. In order to get A by itself, I have to move this positive 144 to the other side. Since I'm crossing the fence, I'm going to need to subtract it to the other side to move it. This is just like solving equations. So we're left with A squared equals 169 minus 144 is 25. Remember, the opposite of squaring a variable is square rooting it, and what we do to one side we have to do to the other side. So we're going to take the square root. Remember, you hit the second button and the x squared button, 25, and hit enter. So A equals 5 meters. The first thing I always do is double check which side am I missing. Am I missing a leg or am I missing the hypotenuse? So the first thing I look for is my C value, because A and B can be used interchangeably. So I'm going to make this one B and this one A. So we plug in one of our side lengths in for A. We don't know the other leg. And then 17.5 gets plugged in for C. So again, we do the basic math, 10.5 squared. Remember, do not round until the very end. So we get 110.25 plus B squared equals 17.5 squared, which is 306.25. I got to get that B squared by itself, so I have to move this positive 110.25 by subtracting it to the other side. Left with b squared equals 196. To get the b by itself, I have to square root both sides. Square root of 196 comes out perfectly. I get 14 meters. Got to double check that my answer makes sense. Remember, C is always going to be our largest side length, so us getting 14 is less than 17.5. So we can assume that our answer is correct. On these next two, I want you to pause them and pause the video and try to work them through on your own. The first thing, remember, I always do is see which side we're given. On this one right here, what side length are we missing? We're not missing the one that makes up the 90-degree angle. So the two that make up the 90-degree angle are A and B. So on this problem, we're missing C. On this problem right here, the fourth one, we're given the C value, so that makes these other two A and B. So this one we're missing C, and this one we're missing a leg. So I want you to go through, pause the video, and try to solve each one. So this third one here should be a review from yesterday, and this one should be you trying this new method on your own. So pause the video, try to work through both of them on your own, and then check to see if you're right. Alright, so for the third one, you should have 8 squared plus 15 squared equals C squared. 8 squared is 64. 15 squared is 225. Add those together, we get 289. Got to square root both sides to get C by itself. And we get 17. Remember, C should be our longest, so since 17 is bigger than 15 and 8, we can assume that we are correct. Alright, 8.4 squared plus B squared equals 35 squared. 35 squared is 1,225. 8.4 squared is 70.56. Got to get the B by itself, so I'm going to subtract 70.56 to the other side. Using B squared is equal to 1,154.44. Got to square root both sides to get B by itself. So I'm going to write down 33.97. So that's going to round, the 7's going to tell me round the 9 up. Since it's a 9, I'm actually going to end up rounding this up to 34. Always round to the nearest tenth as needed. Okay, let's look at two more. Let's look at a couple word problems. So this word problem says the length of the diagonal of a television screen is 42 inches. And they gave you a picture here, and they labeled that diagonal of 42 inches. The length of the bottom of the screen is 36 inches. They want to know to the nearest tenth, what is the height of the television screen? So they want to know this side length right here. So since that's one of the ones that make up the 90-degree angle, that's going to be a leg. 42 is going to be our hypotenuse. We'll make this one A and this one B. So plug those in and solve. It says round to the nearest tenth, so we might have to round at the very end. So we get 36 squared, 1,296. 42 squared. Alright, then we have to get the B squared by itself, so we have to subtract the 1,296 to the other side. So when we do that subtraction, we get 468. So we need to square root both sides to get the b by itself. So we square root 468. We get 21.63. We always have to round in the nearest tenth. That 3 tells me to leave the 6 the same, so I get 21.6, and we have to label it inches. Our answer makes sense because it's less than 42. Our hypotenuse has to be our longest side length. All right, one last one. To the nearest tenth, what is the length of the unknown leg of the right triangle? So on this one, these two form the 90-degree angle, so this one has to be a leg. This one is the other leg, so that must make the 11 our hypotenuse. So we plug in what we know into our formula and solve for our unknown. 7 squared is 49. 11 squared is 121. Have to get the b by itself, so we're going to subtract the 49 to the other side. Get b squared equals 72. Square root both sides. Go square root 72, so we get 8.48. That 8 tells me to round the 4 up. So I get 8.5 centimeters. Okay. So a little bit more solving an equation style when we're having to solve for one of the legs, because we have to move this over to the other side before we can square root both sides there. Okay. If you need to go back and watch any part of the video, please do that. This should not take you much longer than 15 to 20 minutes. Okay, so you should have plenty of time to be working on your worksheet. Okay, when you are done with your worksheet, you're going to turn that in and be reading the rest of the time. Okay.